Hey everyone, welcome to Film Don't Lie University. I'm Chris, he's Brett. Now before we get going, if you're watching this on the Harris Football YouTube channel, go over to the Film Room, Brett's channel, and subscribe. And if you're watching on Brett's channel, go on over to Harris Football and subscribe. We're both going to be giving you really cool video content all season long. All right, today's lesson, we're talking about running backs as receivers and the skills thereof. Now not all running back receptions are created equally. I mean, if I told you you could have 10 catches from Le'Veon Bell, those are probably more attractive than 10 catches from Mark Ingram. We want you to be able to watch football on Sunday and know which is which, because the guys who have dynamic ability, they're likelier to create big plays, and they're likelier to have those receptions count as bigger points. So, Brett, get us started. And this is an unlikely candidate. This is J.D. McKissic of the Seahawks. Tell us why you like this route and the chemistry with his quarterback.
Yeah, J.D. McKissic, going back to even his college days, he actually has a wide receiver background that the Seahawks are using him full-time as a running back. And that kind of gives him a very unique ability as a running back to run a lot of different routes that most running backs just don't run. So you look at this coverage here, and they're flexing out Michael Kendricks on him one-on-one out wide. And Russell Wilson, kind of the key here, he identifies that Kendricks is inside leverage. And so he gives a little signal with his hand. You can see it better on the end zone angle. He just kind of taps his hand there. And that tells J.D. McKissic to run a slant and go. And Kendricks is playing such inside leverage because he wants to stop the slant because they know McKissic is much quicker than him. So with the slant and go, the key here is to sell it hard inside, get the linebacker to bite, and then put one foot in the ground and cut upfield for a wide open touchdown. And that's exactly what he does, because he is a very, very good receiving back. And you can see just that little shoulder nod, kind of turning his hips inside, getting Kendricks to fully commit to it, put his foot in the ground, boom, burst upfield, easy 6. And I think what's interesting here is that you have a quarterback that trusts his running back to run a double move outside because of his background. And that chemistry is really important, because if a quarterback trusts his running back to run that kind of route, they're going to go to it a lot more often, which means you're going to get more opportunities for him to put up a lot of points on your fantasy team. So trust is really the key factor here between quarterbacks and running backs when it comes to the receiving game, because the more faith they have in that player to make plays of this nature, the more they're going to use him.
And frankly, being able to make that cut also quite useful. He's clearly a pretty springy guy, no question. So let's talk about Christian McCaffrey, another sort of chemistry trust type of play, and maybe his most run route. It's an option route on a linebacker, and Cam Newton is waiting to see how the linebacker, who's Craig Robertson here, plays it. If he's leveraged to the inside, then McCaffrey's going to break out. If the linebacker is leveraging him outside, then he's going to cut it in. And when you can cut like that, you know,
that's nasty.
That trust is earned because Cam Newton knows he has that cut in him. McCaffrey can essentially, I don't always love it when running backs pitter-patter their feet, or any wide receivers or anybody pitter-patter their feet. But in this case, he's doing it because he's waiting for the linebacker to commit. So he's able to run the option and translate what he sees to running which way he's going to run based on what Robertson does. And when he can delay like that and still cut like that, that's what I'm looking for when I'm watching football on Sunday.
He's a very unique player. And in a similar vein, I think Alvin Kamara, who was part of his fellow rookie class, is a similarly unique player. And going back to the point of chemistry, this is a little bit different kind of chemistry, where not only can running backs look out for their quarterbacks, but quarterbacks can look out for their running backs. And you see Kamara here in the slot. He's running a little bit of out and up against Leonard Floyd. A good linebacker himself, but not necessarily in coverage. And Breeze, you can see as he's stepping up in the pocket, he recognizes that it's quarters coverage. So he recognizes that this corner over the top might actually turn back around as soon as he reads that the ball is coming down the sideline. He might turn around and totally blow up Kamara here. So as he's placing the ball, he puts it back shoulder to kind of protect Kamara from that corner rolling back to the boundary. Because he knows if he leaves it out in front of him, I mean, if it was just one-on-one, he could leave it out in front of him and probably get a pretty big touchdown out of it. But just because of that separation, and he knows the corner's coming at him over the top, he leaves it backside to save Kamara from a big hit. And at the same time, he's also trusting Kamara to adjust to that ball as he reads it, fight back through Floyd's body, make a contested catch. I mean, this is one of the best examples of chemistry between any type of receiver and a quarterback all year, because they're trusting each other to make each other correct. And it's a truly phenomenal play. I love this play so much.
I was gonna say that, again, the reason that Breeze trusts Kamara there is because he knows he has the ball skills to turn his head like that. That's hard to turn your head like that and be able to catch it. That we don't, if you're watching on Sunday, Brett, wouldn't you say? I mean, that's something that makes you sort of sit up and take notice.
For a running back, that is a very rare skill set. We expect this kind of stuff from DeAndre Hopkins, but we don't expect it from a running back, especially a rookie running back. That is special right there.
So let's go on to a different sort of just showing ball skills, a different way of evaluating running backs as receivers. So this is going to be Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon, the favorite of some, I guess the favorite who like touchdowns, but I know there are still some people who doubt him, and I do not. And the flashiest part of this reception is the toe drag. It's nice to know he's got that. It's nice for Phillip Rivers to know that he's got that. I think what we should really take note of here, though, is that I think on this route, Gordon is supposed to go all the way down the sideline. He looks back. He sees Rivers is rolling right. He sees him in a little bit of trouble, so he's taught that to cut the route short, sharply. I like how I see him open his shoulders nearer the sideline. He's presenting a target. And I think all running back as receivers, all receivers are taught to do this, but you see a lot of running backs not do this. I also love the fact that he has the smarts, the football savvy to know I don't have to do everything a million miles an hour, Brett. Like, I can approach the sidelines and decelerate and give my quarterback as much time as possible to hit me. This one stood out to me because I think Melvin Gordon sort of unjustly called like not a great athlete or not a great football player. And I think this shows a lot of football sense, don't you?
I do. People forget that he was compared to Jamal Charles coming out of college, and Jamal Charles was a pretty darn great athlete himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't run like a high 4.3 like Charles, but in terms of fluidity and explosiveness and all that, like, he is a very, very good athlete, and he's very versatile. He can do he can do stuff like this every single week for you.
I agree. So we're going to go back to Christian McCaffrey because I think we both agree that maybe he's the best thing going, and I'm going to like step away because this is maybe your favorite play from 2017 that anybody submitted. As a film wonk, which anybody who watches the film room knows you are, tell us why you love this one so much.
This is a good example of why I feel like the Panthers had a lot of really well-designed plays, but maybe they didn't use them as not. This is the only time I saw them run this play all year, and I thought it was a brilliantly designed play that really took advantage of McCaffrey's skill set. It's a 7-man protection, and they're running a deep out, a 10-yard out here. And it's against man coverage on Kenny Vaccaro. And you can see they actually roll the safety a little bit inside here because they're expecting McCaffrey to break in on Vaccaro, and Vaccaro's playing a little bit outside leverage. So they're actually double-teaming Christian McCaffrey here, expecting him to get the ball out of the slot. That's how much he's already respected. And this is only week 3, so they know what's up very early in the season. Again, 7-man protection, they're trying to give Cam enough time to take a shot downfield. And as McCaffrey is rolling out here, he kind of pops up a little bit early, kind of signaling to Vaccaro that the break is coming. He pops up a little bit early. He really rounds the cut. And as he's drifting upfield, when you're running an out route, that's kind of the last thing you want to do. You don't want to drift upfield. You want to flatten it back down and put your body in between the defender and the ball. So not only did it pop up early, not only did it round a cut, and not only did it drift upfield, but you look at Vaccaro, he easily undercuts that route, the out route. But here's the problem. It's not actually an out route.
Yeah, it's like Christian McCaffrey's bad, Christian McCaffrey's bad, Christian McCaffrey's bad. Oh, wait a minute. Christian McCaffrey's really good.
Yeah, you can even see Cam kind of sell it a little bit with a minor pump just to get Vaccaro pushed over the edge there to undercut it. And so, they give him the protection, they give him the time, they show the pump. It looks like everything's coming together for Vaccaro for a pick 6 here. And then, boom, puts his foot in the ground, cuts upfield, got 3 yards of separation. And I think the key here is the fact that he ran a really bad out route against outside leverage intentionally. He has such a great understanding of what a good route looks like that he knows what a bad route looks like too, and how he can use a bad route to his advantage to set up a good route. I mean, this is truly special stuff. It's very cerebral. And, they kind of ruled him down by contact here, but I do like the yards after catch skills to get a potential 66-yard gain as well. But really, the meat of this play is the fact that the Panthers dialed up a play specifically designed to get McCaffrey the ball downfield. And he has the route running acumen to pay that play call off with a really good route and a really good catch and really good ball skills. I mean, this is exactly what you look for in a dynamic receiving back in fantasy football. Not somebody who's just going to get a 5-yard out, but somebody who can take a 5-yard out and turn it into a huge gain. I mean, this is truly, truly phenomenal stuff. Let's take a quick break and say thank you very much to Taft Shoes for sponsoring FDLU today. These guys make absolutely incredible shoes. They're extremely unique in the shoe world, and our buddy Corey designs them. The shoe world has really taken notice because, Chris, there's really nothing else like them out there.
It's true. I have 2 pairs of Taft shoes. They really are totally unique with materials and patterns and colors put together in cool and different combinations. And let's face it, guys who are into shoes are really into shoes, and they will love Taft.
I mean, yeah, it's true. They've got nearly 400,000 Instagram followers for a reason. If you were buying shoes like this in a store, it would be like $500 or $600 a pair. But online, you can get them for half that, and right now, you can get even more off, $20 off your first pair, when you click that link below in the description and enter FDLU, the initials, of course, for Film Don't Lie University, at checkout. That is $20 off your first pair. Click that link below, enter FDLU at checkout, and thank you again to Taft for sponsoring.
Okay, so let's get back into receiving running backs. We're going to show you a couple plays here where, okay, I think everybody who watches football knows what ball skills look like, but let's just stay attuned to the running backs who have extremely good ball skills. That's part of it. It's not all receptions are created equal. Let's watch Duke Johnson make one of the catches of the year, maybe for any position from 2017. This is good coverage by Ladarius Webb, and it's kind of frankly a poorly thrown ball, but Johnson shows that he just has, I've said this for as long as he's been in the league, he has among the best ball skills of any position, receiver, running back, it doesn't matter, just be able to reach back like that. Let's point it out to people. Again, I don't think we're delivering insights that you wouldn't yell at on Sunday if you saw this, but just remember that this is a weapon that's in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, talk about helping out your quarterback and building trust. I mean, this is why I really like Duke Johnson. Maybe not as the first and second down back that we expected him to be coming out of Miami, but he's always going to have a role as a third down back because he's one of the very few running backs that can do this. So you even if you're trying to find a running back that maybe is not a 3-down back, if you're trying to make a play for a third down back to be a flex option, if they have ball skills like this, they're always going to have a role. So always prioritize guys with this kind of skill set because no matter what, they're always going to be on the field. And in a similar kind of vein, Tevin Coleman, I think, is very underappreciated as somebody who, no matter what, is always going to have a role, no matter how good Devontae Freeman is, because he can do stuff like this to help out his quarterback. And you look at this ball down the sideline, it was put a little bit far out in front of him, but you can see he actually doesn't even start to pluck this ball until it's darn near even with him. And that's really, really good catching technique. And you don't want to extend your arms too far forward too early or else it'll slow you down. So he understands that in order to maintain speed down the sideline, he has to kind of run under this ball in order to get to it. So he waits to the last possible moment to extend, uses every inch of those arms to come out and pluck the ball and just makes a really good catch, keeps both feet in bounds, excellent body control, protects the ball as he goes to the ground so he doesn't get kind of screwed over by the refs there. I mean, this is about as good as it gets. This is stuff you expect to see from a wide receiver. Both technique-wise, athleticism-wise, this is as good as it gets. I love this play.
Yeah, it's a great play. I'm not even sure Tevin Coleman has that skill on every single down, but just knowing, again, what we're looking for, like, I found this play for us just in the course of watching a lot of film, and I went, hold on a second, Tevin Coleman, huh? And that's the kind of thing that when you're watching on Sunday, make a note. Make a note if you see a guy who you don't even expect who makes a play like this, because it can come back and help you going down the road. So I talked earlier about the difference between, say, a Le'Veon Bell reception and a Mark Ingram reception, and so let's just look at a Mark Ingram reception. And he had a lot of catches last year, and it was useful for point per reception leagues. But not all catches are created equally, and this is a pretty typical one. When you see that your quote-unquote receiving back is mostly getting little dump-offs, you just need a lot of things to go right for a big play to ensue. Now, okay, if the blocking is great and if he's able to turn upfield and maybe he's a good open field runner, terrific. But I'm more interested in Alvin Kamara. Not that many things have to go right for an Alvin Kamara catch to turn into a giant play that's going to win me a fantasy week. Whereas with Ingram, most of his catches are taking place within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, let alone 5. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this. We take them. We're very happy that if Ingram, for example, comes back from suspension and catches another 50 passes, we will take those points. But they are not as valuable as the ones that Kamara will produce. They're not as valuable as the ones Le'Veon Bell will produce.
Yeah, and interesting note on this play. He actually got the ball 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage and got 10 yards after the catch. So people look at that play on the stat sheet and say, "Oh man, he got 10 yards after the catch. That's pretty good." Except he only got a 4-yard gain.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
yards after catch and yards gained are two very different things that you have to kind of keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
You found another excellent play that I really, really liked, and it's a good contrast to the Duke Johnson one we looked at earlier. And it's Carlos Hyde, which is appropriate because they now share the same backfield in Cleveland, and it's very similar situations where you have a quarterback who's absolutely getting lit up as he gets rid of the ball, and he's looking for a running back deep downfield to help him out, adjust to the pass, and just kind of bring it in, even if it's not a perfect ball. And Carlos Hyde can't do it. He doesn't have that skill set. And this is actually an easier ball to adjust to than the one Duke had. It's actually left out in front of him, and he just had to kind of just read it a little bit. Don't put your arms out too early. Run under it, adjust to it, and nope, he just can't. That's why at the very best, he's going to be an early down back in Cleveland, and Duke's going to take over all the third down work because Duke can do this and Hyde cannot. So again, if you're trying to establish a ceiling for a running back, be aware that not all running backs are created equally on third down.
Yeah, absolutely, because I think anybody who owned Carlos Hyde last year in a point per reception league, they were like, I got 59 catches. What are you grousing about? 54 of them came within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And this is why. So when you see guys with bad ball skills, realize, okay, for the purposes of evaluating, I'll take the catches, but bad ball skills don't always translate to good stuff. Let's go for one more bad ball skill example. Just you'll know it when you see it. I mean, you know drops when you see them. It doesn't take us to tell you what a drop is. This is not a bad scramble drill by Brett Hundley, and Jamal Williams of the Packers shakes free, but watch him as he puts his hands up too early. This is a technical mistake, and it relates to the Tevin Coleman play that you talked about earlier, where Coleman didn't put his arms up too soon. If you put your hands or arms up too soon, you start running, your head starts moving, you lose sight of the ball, and you make a stupid drop.
Yeah, and not only does your head start moving and your kind of ability to track the ball goes downhill, but you can't run as fast because, for whatever reason, humans physiologically run faster when we pump our arms. So the longer you pump your arms, the faster you're going to go, the deeper you're going to get downfield, and the easier it is for you to actually extend and pluck the ball. So the last thing you want to do when the ball's in the air is put your hands up too early, or I guarantee you will drop it. That is the number one mistake that young receivers make. And unfortunately, for a lot of running backs that are not experienced receivers, that's the biggest mistake they make as well. So, we talk about guys like Jamal Williams who, they might end up with between 40 and 60 catches, like you said, but they might also have 10 drops that could have translated to an extra couple hundred yards on the season. So this is the reason why you look at the Ty Montgomerys of the world that have a receiving background, because when it comes to third downs, they're going to get all the snaps because they can make this catch and Jamal Williams cannot.
And just to hammer home the point, we are looking at this kind of film because we want you on Sundays not to look at these particular players, but any player who's a receiver, who's catching some passes, and see through the stats, see through the box score, and understand who's likeliest to make you the big plays, who may be a little bit of fool's gold. This has been great. Brett, wonderful job as always. Hey, you have to subscribe to The Film Room. Please do. And subscribe to my channel on Harris Football as well. You can listen to my podcast at harrisfootball.com. Check out the Fantasy Football Almanac as well. Thanks for watching, and we will see you for the next lesson here on Film Don't Lie University.